In this lesson, I wrap up the crowd animation for this project. In the last lesson, I introduced this character, Amadi by Thomas Wiegand, as a replacement character for the multi-head robot. This character has a lot of moving parts, so the animation process was a bit more tedious. One thing about this character is that its design does not lend itself to sitting animations. What I mean by that is, when the character is sitting, there's not that much of a difference in the character's height. This is because the legs only make up about 30% of the character's body. So instead of creating a set of sitting animations, I just gave them a bleacher to allow for a stepped arrangement of its crowd. This character, just like the urban robot from the last lesson, also has several unique animations that are intended to make him blend with the portable stage. I went with mostly animations of the character hanging from the portable stage because the hanging animations make the character integrate into the background well, and it makes for a very authentic feel, as opposed to them just standing around or on top of the portable stage. I went with a lot more busier animation options for this character. The character feels very giddy at a glance, and I think the more aggressive crowd animations will work. This will make this section of the crowd stand out more than the other three. I tried not to make the animations extend outside the character's local space, but in the end, a few of them ended up extending into their surrounding spaces, particularly because this character comes with a fly companion that I animated to get out of the way of broad actions and jumps. So this means that any arrangement of the final crowd will make for a lot of clashing and invasion of local spaces when two of these aggressive animations are placed next to each other. So what I did was go in there and make a lot of edits with the place nodes transform feature to make sure that the over aggressive characters are surrounded by their companions who are not doing too much broad movement. Another thing you probably noticed is the removal of the character's pupil from the final crowd animation. This character is a bit too childish for this animation project, and one way to make the character feel a lot less cuter is to remove the pupils, which makes the character feel more sinister. There's another important reason for making this pupil change, which I will explain later on in this video when I'm going over the main performing character's outfit mockups. As far as the shading is concerned, the object was once again to make sure that these characters blend in with their background, especially with this busier crowd. They need to feel like one mass of unified color and value so they don't clash with the color and value of the main performer. In order to place unique animations on the top hemisphere of this section, I used the same approach as before for the urban robot. A rough sketch to see how to cluster them, and then jump straight into Maya and get the animation done to get them on the stage. So that is it for the crowd for now. Here are some rough renders of what the end result is going to feel like. There isn't any finalized lighting plan yet because I need the main animation to be done so that the lights can be animated. And after that, a lot of light edits need to be done to support the focal point of each staging camera's composition. So there's a lot of lighting work down the line. And as I mentioned in the last lesson, these crowd animations are by no means completely done. I will be coming in here to sprinkle in unique animations once the main performer's animation is done. A lot of polishing will be done to the materials, color choices, and lighting to get a successful background composition. I went over a little bit of this stuff in the last lesson. One thing I haven't forgotten to plan for is the lights from all the phone cameras going off and the lens flares that will be occasionally produced from these phones flashing. This may be done with a combination of 3D lighting and post effects in After Effects. Another thing I may do with the flamed up torches of this muddy crowd is to animate some ambient lighting to simulate flickering light. This will definitely be an effect that is done in 3D. And lastly, any other background VFX and dynamics that need to interact with this background may also be brought into this file to impact the rendered background result. So all in all, there is a lot more work to be done before and after rendering this crowd to get a successful result. So now that the main crowd animation has been taken as far as it needs to go for now, it's time to move on to the main performance that was planned out last year. These dances have been mixed together, and each time my main character, Kiwa, transitions to a new performance, her outfit will change into a derivative of the outfit that the respective performer has on in the reference. For a more detailed overview of the animation plan, check out the first video of this series. So here are some mock-ups of the outfits that Kiwa is going to be transitioning between. For the first two performances by Avemoves and Kidathegreat, the character will usher in the performance with this dark fit. A dark fit with just a little accents of green. Most of the outfit is already modeled, and I'm pretty sure this is going to be the final color scheme. The only thing that has to be modeled is the bandana, which will also be of a darker hue. In the project plan, I talk about how I want to cover up the face for a majority of the performance so that expressions don't distract from the main performance. The bandana and the glasses will help with that. And by the way, stripping away the pupil detail from Muddy is also important for the same reason. Muddy has a big face and very noticeable facial features. When we look at any composition, the first thing we're looking for is faces, and particularly eyes of the characters in a composition. So stripping out his eyes helps to not make his face a natural focal point. I also went back and de-emphasized the pupils for the Jessica crowd for the same reason. I did this by reddening the sclera, or the white of her eyes, a lot more to further reduce the value contrast between her sclera and her pupils. I did it with a brightness contrast node in Photoshop. For Tshepo's performance, the character will explode out of the dark color scheme from Avemoves and Kidathegreat's performance into this purple color scheme that introduces more accents of color. So it'll feel like things are coming to life more as the lighting of the scene begins to ramp up. If you want to review the lighting plan for the transition to this animation, I'm going to once again forward you to the first video of this course for a detailed overview of the animation plan. Girin's performance is the first performance that will usher in a significant outfit change. A bucket hat and asymmetrical leggings will replace the distressed jeans and the headphones. The bandana will be black and white to match the black, white, and gold theme of the outfit she's wearing. It's a very high contrast look that I think will help her stand out from the background crowd, even more than the other outfits. Latrice's performance will incorporate the first wool balaclava or ski mask and a plaid skirt with loose hanging fabric, just like Latrice has on in her reference video. This is the first performance where the character's eyes will be exposed. So for this phase, I will be focusing on acting ideas for the eyes. Whenever I can, I'm trying to find a way to credit the dancers on the outfits. So here you see Latrice's name on the wool ski mask, and previously you saw Girin's name on the asymmetrical leggings. I think what I will eventually do is make sure their names are on the back of the jackets instead of what I have now. And finally, Jeneeva, Amadi, and Latrice's performance will have the most significant outfit change, with almost none of the original outfit being used. The character will be wearing another wool mask with hanging veiled ornaments and a pair of these wool heels by Alexander McQueen. The incorporation of the heels into the final rig is going to be a challenging task, and I'm looking forward to sharing the process when it comes time to get it done. All the fits will be sculpted in ZBrush and set up to simulate with nCloth. I'm still contemplating how these veiled ornaments will be simulated. Latrice's fit also has some ornaments around the plaid skirt. If all else fails, nCloth can do the job, but I'm considering using Maya's bullet physics system to resolve these ornaments. I won't be doing any of the clothing sculpting in this course because the focus in this course is on the animated cinematic. If you want to see how I sculpt clothing in ZBrush, check out my anthro modeling, rigging, and grooming course, where I am in the process of using ZBrush and Maya to create a variety of clothing types and props. I will, however, go over the important information about the sculpted outfits, and I will also go over the nCloth and bullet physics setups for each of these outfits. And by the way, this huge tail for the last performance by Jeneeva, Amadi, and Latrice will be a modification that will be available on the character rig. And speaking of the character rig, this is a good time to segue into the plan for the new rig that will be used in this course. Before I can proceed with the outfits, I'm taking a hiatus from this project to give this character rig an upgrade. I'm going to be upgrading the current rig to an advanced skeleton rig. This will be a separate course, and the first couple of lessons should be out in a few weeks. Advanced Skeleton is an automated rigging tool by Animation Studios. I have their website up on the screen. It is free for personal use, but $750 if you want to use it for commercial use, and that is the fee for a singular license or a sole proprietor. I think they have a different price for enterprise. So check out their website to see this amazing rigging tool. I am going to be integrating my own rigging workflows with the latest advanced skeleton workflow. The objective will be to get a fleshy rig that operates independently of the nCloth clothing system that this character relies on, and also independently of other physics-based dynamic simulation systems like Bullet in Maya. With only anatomically sound deformations on the agenda, I am free to use a lot of corrective deformation on the new rig by the way of sculpt deformers, blend shapes, and advanced skeletons custom controls. I will be using all these corrective deformation options to simulate believable muscle, fat, and bone as the character rig deforms. Once the rig is complete, I will be able to return to this course with a powerful advanced skeleton rig that is going to help make the animation of this performance more efficient and more stress-free. One of the things I'm looking forward to using is Advanced Skeleton's body and face picker. These pickers have to be designed from scratch for this character, and I will be doing all of that in the course. So keep an eye out for the Migrating Kiwa to Advanced Skeleton course coming out in a few weeks. And by the way, this Advanced Skeleton rigging course will be a full course, so I will be going over everything and not skipping any steps like I'm doing for my cheeseburger course or my anthro character course. So that's it for this course for now. As soon as the new rig is done, I will return with the clothing already modeled, textured, and ready to be set up in their respective simulation rooms. One thing I'm starting to understand about this project's main animation is that I'm going to have to be relying on a lot of experimental animation workflows to resolve the animation of the simulated clothing to match the animation style that is going to be achieved. If it is not clear in the pencil test, I'm going to be oscillating back and forth between hyper-realistic movement and very cartoony animation. Lots of smearing, lots of squash and stretch, and a handful of gravity-defying actions. Even with the hyper-realistic movement, one of my objectives is not to just copy the reference in a way that AI or motion capture would, but to use creative ideas to produce something that evolves the reference into a stylized derivative of the main performance. For the parts that are very cartoony, nCloth settings will have to be modified where applicable to allow the clothing to echo the behavior of the cartoony intermissions correctly. But ultimately, I will still have the responsibility of executing some of these gravity-defying and abnormal but realistic moves the way these talented dancers are executing them. This is very much going to be like an animation case study. I hope to be able to share a lot of valuable animation information with you all when we get to the main animation. Thanks for watching, and keep an eye out for the Migrating Kiwa to Advanced Skeleton course.